The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised. Now,
shut up and sit down.
where do we come from? How did we get here? These are the questions plaguing mankind since the dawn of time. Questions religion, science, and speculation have all tried to answer. Join us as we delve deep into the mysteries of our own origin. Woo! Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Origin. You'll have to let me know what you guys think of that intro. It is a whole new thing that I'm trying. So, yeah. If you guys like it, I will actually pre-record it so that it stays on there all the time. But, hey, everybody. Welcome, Matt.
Hello.
Shay's in the house. Mallory's in the house. Jen's in the house. This is awesome. We're starting off the show with some of the best peeps there are to listen. So, and then, of course, your daughter. No.
Yes.
I'm just kidding, Mallory. I promise. I'm just kidding. So, topic of the show. We are obviously, if you read the show description, pending I actually got it typed in there correctly this time, we're talking about ancient Egypt today. And we are specifically talking about some of the odder, more quirky mysteries surrounding ancient Egypt. So, you know, the pyramids were tombs, right? Maybe not quite. Oh, hey. Britty is her. She's her. Like, it's hot in her. No, she's here. As she corrected her spelling. Oh, she must have got done with class early because she's listening. So, last time she missed 3 whole seconds of the show. So, I mean, it was that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
That was 3 seconds. Oh my gosh.
Yes, I know. She missed so much. That was the important 3 seconds. All right, so going forward with our subject for the night, I'm just going to go straight over to Giza. I'm going to start with the Great Pyramid of Giza. All right, and we'll start there and have a little discussion on what I bring up, and then we'll move on to Matt's half of the show, Matt's subject. So,
and hopefully we'll last a whole 10 minutes.
Woohoo! Hey, I'm hoping that I last a whole 5. So, what? Did he just call Matt old? I don't think I called Matt old. Did I call Matt old? Maybe. I don't know.
Wouldn't be the first person.
I think Shay's just trying to get a punch in there. So, anyway, we are talking about ancient Egypt. We're talking about the pyramids, specifically the pyramids at Giza, the set of 3 that are there. One of the more fascinating things I found about this as I was doing research is just recently, scientists have made a breakthrough discovery. It was late 2018 when this happened. They made a breakthrough discovery that determined that the pyramid, they'd specifically recreated the Great Pyramid of Giza itself, with the King's Chamber, the Queen's Chamber, the unused chamber down below. What? Geyser thing. Jeez. It's because I said Giza.
Giza.
You know, that whole accent, that whole masshole accent. Oh, I got it now. Ha, 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 ha. Mattel. Okay.
Squirrel.
Squirrel. Yep, pretty much. That's what Jen's doing to me is squirrel. They found out that when you basically blast it with electromagnetic frequencies, electromagnetic radiation, it ultimately harnesses that power and it sends it down to the substrate. So it basically takes the electromagnetic energy from the air, okay, and it pushes it down below its foundation. Now, it is believed that there is a tunnel system underneath the Great Pyramids of Giza, and that this tunnel system goes to areas like the Sphinx, goes to areas like the Valley of the Kings. Yeah, Valley of the Kings. I almost said Valley of the Gods. I'm like, that's not right. I need to make sure that I'm saying the right thing here. The Valley of the Kings, and that it all interconnects underneath. It is also believed that there is an aquifer, or was an aquifer. I believe they're thinking that there still is an aquifer underneath the pyramids of Giza. So when you take that and then you take this energy and it pushes it down towards the base, it pushes it down below the base. I'm going to post some pictures in our Facebook page. I did not do it before the show because by the time I realized it was time to start the show, it was 7:23, and I'm like, I need to call Matt. Because the show starts soon. So
3 minutes.
Woohoo! Hey, Wolf. Hey, Luna. Thanks for joining the show. Talking about the pyramids, if you can't tell from the title. Just saying. So, the Great Pyramid of Giza harnesses electromagnetic frequencies. I'm giving you the footnotes here. Harnesses electromagnetic frequencies, electromagnetic radiation, and pushes that electromagnetic radiation down below its base, down to the possible believed tunnel system, down towards the aquifer. Now, the reason that this is significant is they want to create this same thing on a nanoscale. All right, so we're taking a shape and form of technology that was developed thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. Okay, we're talking like 2500-ish BC. All right, and scientists are wanting to apply said technology that they have discovered to today's technology, or actually tomorrow's technology. They want to use this technology to build better solar cells, to build better nanotechnology. They want to be able to create this on a smaller scale. They want to be able to create better sensors, more efficient sensors, like exponentially more efficient things, using this design of the ancient pyramids. Now, they admittedly stated that they had to make several assumptions when they performed this experiment, because they couldn't actually perform it on the actual pyramid itself. They had to build a scale model smaller and perform it on that. But they built this scale model assuming that there are no hidden caverns, because they've done ground penetrating radar on this, and they're assuming that there are no other hidden caverns that have not been discovered. They are also assuming that all the limestone within is standard limestone and that it's doesn't have any other properties. And when they performed that test, after creating an exact scale replica, they performed that test. That's when they discovered this whole EMF thing. So, wow. I mean, what do you think of that, Matt? Just that information alone.
That's just mind blowing. I mean, it's.
Exactly. It's hard to find words. We can't even English tonight.
I can't. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. What would they have used it for?
Well, there are some theorists out there, and I'm not even going to say ancient astronaut theorists because it's not even them. There are some theorists out there who, and now this is where modern science or regular scientists would call these theorists pseudoscience theorists, believe that perhaps, and they have believed this for a long time, that perhaps this was that the pyramids themselves formed a power grid. That they actually harnessed electricity of some form of electricity, be it static electricity of some kind, electromagnetic electricity, and basically harnessing the electricity out of the air and distributing it wirelessly amongst the entire, I'm going to call it nation. Okay? Does that sound familiar to you at all?
It does a little bit.
Taking wireless power out of the air, free power out of the air, and distributing it wirelessly for all to use.
Strange.
It sounds a lot like Tesla and some of his theories. In fact, the Tesla Tower, believe it or not, the Tesla Tower was built specifically over an aquifer, over an underground body of water. For those who don't know, an aquifer is an underground body of water. Today's show is sponsored by the letter B. No, I'm just kidding. I am kidding. But in all seriousness, so you have...
Beer starts with B.
Ooh, beer starts with B. Oh, I don't have a beer. I will save it for my Monday show with Brittany. We have 2 beers left. And it will be post-birthday. So,
Sweet.
Birthday starts with B. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, this Friday is my beautiful wife Brittany's birthday. So be sure on Friday to wish her a happy birthday. Or you can wish her a happy birthday now. I was going to say, you can wish her a happy birthday now, too. Happy early birthday. Ta-da! She's sitting in the car on her way home like, you ass. Friday night. Friday. Yep, Friday. Well, all day Friday. I shouldn't say Friday night. I read that as Friday night, and yes, it's Friday. Right. And it's all day Friday. I mean, I can't remember the specific time she was born. I'm sorry, babe, but I can't. But it is Friday, March the 29th. And no, Benji is not psychic. Anyway, so back to the subject. Tesla's stuff and ancient Egypt stuff. Both built over aquifers, both harnessing wireless energy free from the air. There's a little bit of correlation there, I think-ish. So, that's something to ponder. That's something to think about. That is something for all of you to take the time and go out and research this on your own. And come up with your own conclusions as to what you might think the correlation between Tesla's technology and the technology of ancient Egypt might come into play. As we get further into the technological side of things, there have been items discovered together that when combined in appropriate amounts, created a battery. There have been images, hieroglyphs, drawn on the walls of power sources and light bulbs and whatnot, signifying that they had the technology for electricity, for power. So you take these items, and it basically equates to like copper, iron, and lemon juice, for example, is a very simple way to reproduce what these three items that were found very close to each other would have created. And then it was like a spheric glass of some kind that basically when you put the acid in with the copper and the iron, it created an electrical current and illuminated inside the glass, is what I'm gathering from what I'm reading. If I am wrong, feel free to correct me. When I gotta mention this comment made in chat by Shay. When I wrote Psychic, I said it in my head like Benji did, because it's him. That's how you know you've left your mark on the world.
Yes. Psychic.
Psychic. No. Anyway, one of the other interesting traits of the pyramids at Giza is that many people have speculated and theorized, including Robert Bauval. I'm probably slaughtering that name, but it's from many, 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 many years ago, so I'm not too concerned about it, that he's going to get mad at me. And I'm thinking like 1800s. I can't remember. I don't have the date right in front of me right now. So I'm guessing he's probably not around anymore. But he theorized that the three pyramids at Giza, including the Great Pyramid, were aligned with the three stars in Orion's belt. And he came to this conclusion because the three pyramids were slightly misaligned, and Orion's belt is slightly misaligned, and they just the way that they sit. Valid theory, especially when you get into ancient astronaut theory, which wasn't even around back then, I don't think, but you get into ancient astronaut theory now, where I have to admit, sometimes I feel like they be grasping at straws. Like they be looking so hard to find something that makes it so. But, wait a minute, I just missed a comment there. Oh. I was reading your daughter's comment. Pyramids aren't real. They want you to think they are, but they just blow them up. At least that's what it shows in the Up movie. Oh. Anyway, getting back. You know what, Giza, it depends on who you talk to, how it's pronunciated, okay? So, back off. Back off. No. It really does, actually, because you'll listen to one person talk about it, they'll say Giza. You'll hear someone else talk about it, they'll say Giza. I say Giza because that's what I was actually taught in school. So, the pyramids of Giza and the Nile. That's what we were taught in school. Wow. I just realized, I'm looking at a picture here. This is an old picture. This is actually a picture that Robert Bauval took back in the day with his little gunpowder, flash powder camera that he had. But the middle pyramid, which I believe is the Great Pyramid, I could be wrong though, actually, from this angle, looks like it has the all-seeing eye at the top of the pyramid.
Cool.
It doesn't, but the shadowing, because it's a black and white picture, the shadowing makes it look like it. It is great. The Illuminati are everywhere, people. I'm telling you.
Everywhere.
Next on Conspiracy Theories with Matt and Benji. No, I'm just kidding. Oh. So anyway, he believed that the pyramids were aligned with Orion's belt, which many people actually have thought this same thing. People get... Jen, stop it. All I can see are squares. So enough with your iPhone stuff and stop sending squares. Oh, Shay's like, new show idea. Great. You really want us to talk for 3 hours at a time? That's a show for you. So there's a lot of people that are for the whole Orion thing. Then there's the people that are like, Orion may have been in the sky at the time, but Sirius is the only star that they really would have played on because of Osiris. Sirius, or Sothis, was associated with Isis, a principal character in the Osirian legends. Not current day ISIS. Just want to throw that out there. But when you take this theory of Orion and the belt and the three pyramids, the three stars of Orion's belt, and you apply it to other things. I'm not explaining this the way I really wanted to. I had this whole setup, and now I cannot remember. No, I can't see the eye. Well, I can see the eye now, but I can't see the all the squares before that. You just send a whole bunch of squares. And iPhone does not rules. So, that's just my opinion. Whatever. Anyway, I was just watching an episode of a TV show that I will not name that might or might not talk about aliens. That was talking about Leonardo da Vinci and the Da Vinci Code. My wife will be like, oh boy, here it comes. But the reason I'm bringing this up is the ancient Egyptians are not the first, or this person talking about the alignment of the pyramids being Orion's belt. They're not the first person to signify the possible part that the Orion star system, or the constellation, the different stars in the constellation, I shouldn't say star system because they're not even remotely close to each other in reality, play in our history, our possible existence, our possible origin story ourselves. Leonardo da Vinci painted the Salvator Mundi, which is a painting of his perception of Christ, where in the right hand it is up as blessing, like he's giving a blessing, all right? And in the other hand, he is holding an orb. Now, artist scholars will tell you that that orb is it has three what they call inclusions in it, and his attention to detail, to the imperfections of the orb, the three inclusions, is impeccable. However, Leonardo da Vinci is very well known for putting pieces of a puzzle into his artwork. In the Last Supper, they found a musical score, for example, between the hands and the loaves of bread on the table, and they found music bars, that type of thing. All right. So in the Salvator Mundi, in the orb, it seems very, very ironic that the 3 inclusions in the orb actually match 3 of the outside stars, and I mean perfectly match 3 of the outside stars of Orion at the time of Leonardo da Vinci. So, not the 3 stars in the belt. So you have the 3 belt stars, and then you have 3 of the body-shaped stars. And it's the body-shaped stars that are in the orb. Now, here's where I throw a monkey wrench into everything that I just said. So we're talking about the pyramids at Giza possibly aligning to the belt of Orion. However, when you take the scientific wow, star charts and put it into a computer program, and it maps out how the stars are currently going, how the stars have been, and how the stars will eventually be, there has never been a point in history in which the pyramids at Giza have actually aligned with Orion. So this is where I'm going to shut those ancient astronaut theorists, as far as that part goes, down, because they don't actually align with Orion. However, when our good buddy Robert Bauval, I've probably pronounced his name 4 different ways by now. When our good buddy Bob, I'm just going to start calling him Bob. His name was Robert. I'm going to call him Bob. When our good buddy Bob decided that the pyramids were misaligned because the angles of all 3 pyramids don't line up appropriately, he was partially right. Because one of the pyramids is smaller, significantly smaller. It doesn't line up appropriately because I believe it's the southeast. Hold on. I'm sorry. Yes, southeast corners. The southeast corners of all 3 pyramids are perfectly aligned. They are 100% deliberately perfectly aligned on the southeast corners. And the idea behind this is that it is supposed to represent a horizon, which I'm not 100% following, but I can understand why it would be significant, because the horizon was symbolic to them as it was associated with resurrection. It was associated with when... Could it depend on what? I am missing a lot of the chat. I'm sorry. The angle. The angel. Could it depend on the angel? Castiel? Michael, maybe? I feel like that's a supernatural reference there. No, the angle. Oh, there's not actually an angel Castiel. That kind of depresses me that there's not really a Castiel. They figure that he is probably most prominently after Cassiel. There's no T. But anyway, sorry. That was a little sidebar because I got distracted because of Shay not being able to spell. And she spelled angel right, though.
She did.
She did. You're just being a smartass.
Like usual.
No, could is misspelled. Coukd? Cooked. That's not how you spell cooked. That is not how you spell cooked. I just want to throw that out there. But horizons were associated with resurrection, and that's why they believe that perhaps this was aligned this way, because the pyramids...
Oh, can I pause you for a second?
Yep, go ahead.
Shay, he said resurrection, not erection.
Right. Or, and definitely not re-erection. Just throwing that out there, too, you know. So, unfortunately, when you look at the science behind how the pyramids actually are, in fact, aligned, you can completely eliminate the whole Orion thing. So, which, for ancient astronaut theorists, really sucks. But facts are facts. Science is science. And even though mainstream science won't always admit certain things, they eventually will have to see that some of the things they don't want that they claim is pseudoscience really is science.
Right.
That's just how it is. Just kind of like the whole EMF thing with the pyramid. Like, whoa, what the crap? So that sums up my whole thing. Oh, actually, it doesn't sum up my whole thing. Here's another fun fact that a lot of people didn't know. Or maybe you did know. I don't know. I did not know this until I really started deeply researching this. They claim it's because of thievery, grave robbers and such. But to date, no mummy has ever been found inside of a pyramid. Outside at the base, in the Valley of the Kings, in actual tombs, but never inside the pyramid. Now, the scientists and the archaeologists are claiming that, you know, thievery and grave robbing, and, you know, that's why you've never found one inside of out of 120 pyramids. There is nothing inside like what you find in a tomb. When you compare the interior of a pyramid to the interior, Jen, can you read my mind? You know, because you're psychic. Can you picture what I am doing to you right now? And I promise you, it's not dirty. I am reaching through this microphone and slapping you on the face. What about daddies? No mummies have ever been found. Neither have any daddies.
About toilets.
Oh. But
So I know a lot of the tombs, they've had found a lot of toilets in them. Any toilets found in pyramids?
nope.
Huh.
See, here's the thing. Look at the walls. Find some pictures of the walls of the inside of actual pyramids. They are virtually blank. Completely blank slates. But you go to the tombs, and there's drawings, there's gold, there's treasures, there's everything. All of their wealth is still inside the tombs that haven't been robbed. Because there obviously, yes, there has been grave robbing. Have you ever seen Tomb Raider, people? Have you ever seen Indiana Jones? I mean, seriously. But that's granted not Indiana Jones, but that type of stuff happens in real life. People have robbed these things in the past. People probably still are trying to this day. But there's no drawings like you find in the tombs. There's no hieroglyphs like you find in the tombs. There have been allegedly some ancient texts about burial processes and instructions on how to get to the afterlife. But that's it. Not like what you find in the tombs. So it's very difficult for me as a researcher to look at that and say, yep, that those pyramids there, they're definitely burial sites right there. Mm-hmm, yeah, uh-huh. No, I don't think they ever were, personally. But that's just me.
They're pretty much just monuments.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, mainstream science has figured out how they built them. That's not really a mystery anymore. And mainstream science has determined that, well, it really wasn't slaves that built them. It was paid, skilled laborers. And, yeah. Those laborers are buried near the base of the tomb. Or near the base of the tomb, I just said it. Near the base of the pyramid.
Well, that was part of the deal of being a paid laborer,
Yeah.
You kind of added the king's insurance policy, and if you happen to die on the job, you get buried next to the pyramid.
Pretty much. Yeah. King's insurance policy. I love that. That's a good one. Oh. But just words cannot describe what's going through my brains. Sorry, Shay. I can't. Do you think pyramids were built to be worship hall? Not really. The way the chambers are, I don't think that they would have been built for worship halls either. Or to hide aliens from the sun. Oh, because, yes, aliens are vampires.
Actually, they did have sunscreen back then. That's why a lot of the Egyptians had, the men and the women had worn makeup.
Yep, that is very true. See, Jen, this is why you listen to the show. You learn things. Or at least we try to teach you things anyway. Whether you actually learn them or not is another story. So... that all said, that pretty much sums up my portion of the show. And I'm sorry, I went over my portion of the show by like 10 minutes. My bad. But no. Kim has joined us.
Hey, Kim.
But out of everything that I said, I mean, what do you think of that? What are your opinions? I'm asking you directly, Matt.
People in chat.
I'm asking you, Matt, not the people in chat. They can't talk through the radio.
Well, they can ask questions. And whatnot.
Oh, absolutely, they can ask questions. Do you think... Oh, that's the same thing. Oh, I just read the thing that Shay said about the show being worth the wait. Thank you, Shay. Hope they had a shitter on each level. Can you imagine working on the bottom ones? Working on the top. Oh, Shay. Or Jen. Oh, Jen. Oh, Jen. Oh, no. You're horrible. And you're not Batman. That's me. Oh. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm Batman, but, I mean, honestly, have you ever seen me and Batman in the room at the same time together? Just saying.
Ooh. Wow.
Things to think about. Yeah. But no, they I'm going to jump back in here. So there was this... I know I brought this up before, but I just got back to this page. There was this glyph basically, this massive glyph of, I think they said it was like 127 or 126, something like that, workers pulling a sled. Now, you have to understand that they've tried to theorize many ways as to how the Egyptians built the pyramid, rolling the stones on logs, pulling them with a sled. Some people think that mammoths had something to do with it. I'm like, what? Okay. But there was literally, virtually instructions engraved into a site that they had found years ago, but never took the time to look at, basically. Where there's these 127 or so people pulling this multi-ton, they're talking like 30-ton statue on a sled, and in the picture of it, to the right of the statue's foot, there is a person pouring water onto the sand. And they determined, when reproducing the experiment, they found out that if you wet the sand appropriately, the amount of friction caused by the sled on the sand actually reduces by over half. So, imagine a wooden sled being pulled on dry sand. It would cause the sand to bank up in front of it and make it almost impossible to move. But once you wet the sand, it creates this like bridge of where two sand particles, micro droplets of water, will bind multiple grains of sand together to each other through what they call capillary action. And it's these bindings that create capillary bridges and basically make the sand harder, ultimately reducing the amount of friction because the sand isn't banking up in front of the sled. And once they figured that out, this 34-ton statue took half the amount of people, less than half the amount of people to move it.
Nice.
I think pyramids were homes for aliens. I'm serious. I think they lived in it when they were here. Them, not it. What? Oh, they lived in them when they were... Okay, I can dig that thought, except look up... I'm going to post it, so I guess you don't have to look it up. I will post it at some point, though, within the next week, because I'm really bad at this. The layout of the Great Pyramid at Giza, and tell me where they lived, because there were literally 3 chambers. And an unfinished one. I don't know where they were going to live in there. They were not there. They were slightly claustrophobic chambers to boot. So, yeah. Just saying, you know, the insides of the pyramids aren't hollow. They're not. There was speculation back in the day that pyramids were used to house grain, but they actually had grain housing, like granaries, grain bins. Basically, I'm just going to call it grain bins of their own, and they were more rounded. They were wee aliens. Aliens that went wee as they slid down the outside of the pyramid. Start at the top and slide down. Wee! Oh, all right. So, segues are bad, and Matt's going to talk about drugs.
Yes. This part's going to be about Egyptology versus toxicology.
Ooh, Egyptology versus toxicology. Go.
Yes. Well, it started back roughly around 3,000 years ago with a priestess. Her name was Henatati. She was a priestess for the temple of Amnun, somebody.
So this priestess name was Penatati?
Yeah.
Like a hot toddy?
Not a hot toddy, but Henatati.
Penatati. Like 5 toddies? No.
It could be. So she was the lady of 2 lands, so who knows?
Ooh. Okay.
But she died around 3,000 years ago, and like Benji was saying earlier, during the Victorian ages, plundering the tombs was quite popular back then for mummy parts, because in Europe at the time, there was this huge thing about getting body parts for mummies. They used the parts for paint. And
what?
Yeah, pretty wild, huh? They called it Egyptian brown. But yeah, they ground it up, and they used it for paint and stuff.
Wow.
And yeah, so grave digging was quite popular back in the 1800s, especially in the tombs. And they came across her, and the king of Bavaria at the time had bought the sarcophagus with the mummy inside of it, and he ended up giving it to the museum in Munich, in Germany, where for another couple centuries, Henatati laid undisturbed.
Okay.
And of course, scientist Dr. Svetlana Balabanova was doing some testing, some toxicology testing on opium use back then.
I just have to interject and say that I am glad that I am not the only person in the world that has issues with names.
Oh. Yeah. It'll get better from here on.
Oh, yes.
Well, she ended up doing some testing, and she was kind of baffled when she got the results back several weeks later. And they had high amounts of cocaine, hashish, and nicotine.
What?
I know, and which, 3,000 years ago was kind of weird, because coca and presumably tobacco was a New World plant. Now, how were they able to get that? So she thought her readings were wrong, and she ended up taking some more. And she did some more testing. Same results. She ended up sending it out to other universities. They got the same results. So they end up eventually digging up some more some mummified bodies, and in Sudan, which were roughly within 500-year range of the priestess, and about a third of them actually had the same amounts. It was like the tobacco, the nicotine, and the cocaine was like 35 times the human body can take. So what they finally figured out was that the nicotine was used in the mummification.
I was just going to ask that. Well, was this all used in the mummification process, or were the ancient Egyptians just sitting around snorting some lines?
Well, the thing is, they found traces of silk, around that time, which at the time, there's no silk in Egypt, and the only place that came from was China. So
China makes everything.
I know.
Since the dawn of time, everything comes from China.
Did they have ancient trade routes back then? From the Americas to China, all the way to Africa. And, there was some speculation that possibly that some of the nicotine came from plants that could have became extinct during, the past 3,000 years. And because there's no mention in Karnak or any of the tombs of these plants, coca leaves or any tobacco leaves. They had pictures of the lotus flower and mandrake and all these other things, but no tobacco leaves or coca leaves. So they're kind of baffled on that. Where did it come from? And, plants such as potatoes and tomatoes contain small amounts of nicotine. But once again,
that's trace amounts.
Right. Plus, they're a New World plant.
Yeah.
So, you got... Oh, I lost my page. Damn it.
Wow. Shay brings up a point that I actually thought of too, but then just didn't say anything about because I was so intrigued. Just because we think it's a newly found plant, animal, etc., doesn't mean it is. However, then you went on to explain that, oh, wait a minute, they don't even show pictures of this. That they had the leaves of these plants. So what kind of plants might have been producing them back then?
Right. Plus, there's still a lot of plants that they have found, for the some of the mummifications. Excuse me, getting tongue-tied. And, that they still don't know what they were. And, it could have been one thing, it could have been another. They really have no idea. So, it was the mummification process was a big secret between the priests, the high priests, and all that stuff.
Right.
And so, yeah.
They still haven't really found how they mummified them.
Right.
They still
Other
haven't.
than ripping their brains out through the nostrils.
Yeah. That's a lobotomy you're never going to forget.
No.
Or you'll forget it instantaneously. One or the other. Yeah. Just shove that hook up the nostril, whip them brains around, and yank them out. Ooh.
But yeah, they did some testing on King Ramses II. And when they were bringing him to, I can't remember, it was one of the, for display in one of the big museums in Europe.
Oh.
And he was kind of deteriorating, so they had to do some work on him. And as they were unwrapping him, they had found traces of tobacco. And, so they kind of stop and say, hey, who's contaminating the process here? So,
oh, hold on. Good night, Mallory. Thanks for joining the
Mel.
show. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to get that out there.
Yeah, so it's really interesting because, yeah. I lost my place again.
Nope, that's fine. You were talking about the whole, hey, who contaminated this?
Yes, and, they end up redoing the process again, and as they were taking more of the wrappings away, and they were finding more and more. And come to find out that tobacco is like high levels of nicotine in tobacco can kill bacteria. So it was probably part of the process. But once again, where did it come from? Because at the time, of our knowledge anyways, there's no tobacco type of tobacco. I mean, there's been other plants that have the same effect that they did smoke back then, but it wasn't as high as in nicotine as tobacco is.
Wait, I'm going to throw this out there, and it might be a little controversial, but what if they weren't trading with China, and instead they were trading with aliens?
Ooh. Or maybe the aliens were their dealers.
Yes. Woo.
Because the strange thing is, the Egyptians, they weren't really known as a seafaring race, and they always stayed close to the shores,
right?
And they until what's his name, Thor, ended up sailing across the Atlantic there in a reed boat. That they realized, maybe they did.
Something with the same chemical makeup, but was different. Question marks? That was a question. I was reading Shay's comments. So I'm going to reread that now. Something with the same chemical makeup, but was different? There. Now I made it a question. I'm going to go with that's a possibility.
Could be.
Or maybe it's something that was very common back then, but because of the way the Earth has developed and the way things have gone over the years, maybe, example, lotus flower. Mm-hmm. Maybe lotus flowers back then contained shite tons of nicotine. But this day and age don't, because of different transformations in climate and such. That's just a theory I'm throwing out there. Yep, alien drug dealers. Hells yeah. Oh.
But, yeah, I mean, did they have trade routes back then? Who knows? They found a temple in India of goddesses holding ears of corn, which, they didn't have corn in freaking India back thousands of years.
Very true.
And like the Philippines, they, not the Philippines, but
you got this,
Southeast Asia, with sweet potatoes. So, was it the Chinese, traveling through, trading around? Were ancient Egyptians traveling to the New World, doing trades over there?
Maybe.
We don't know.
Or was it the lost city of Atlantis?
Ooh.
I don't know. We're talking like ancient civilizations here. We're talking a completely different era. What's to say that they didn't coexist?
Right.
But
then again, it could be some unknown plant that's gone extinct, and
right?
We just don't know.
Maybe there's an entire city of extraterrestrial civilization that just kind of up and disappeared.
Or maybe they were using that free energy to use their electric boats.
Ooh. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time. Holy cow. We made it a whole hour. Again. I'm kind of stoked. We made it over an hour. Well, we did start 2 minutes late, so we made it an hour. But still. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll have to tell us what you think, or what you thought, of the show. Go hit us up on the Origin Facebook group, and let us know what you thought. Also, even though we are talking about a lot of stuff that I've been wanting to talk about for a long, long time, if there is a topic that specifically interests you, head on over to the Origin group page and let us know. And we'll try to fit it into our lineup. Kind of sticking with the pyramid theme of ancient civilizations, in 2 weeks, we're coming back. We're going to continue to talk about ancient pyramids, but we're moving to a different region. We're going to move to Mesoamerica and talk about the Aztecs and the Mayans. Shay, pay attention. This is the part of the show that I'm talking about, that I warned you about. We are going to be talking about the Aztecs and the Mayans and their civilizations, the Mayan calendar, and this is the one. This is the specific topic that is probably going to take more than one show. We're still going to try to keep it in an hour, but this topic is so vast because there are so many things to talk about. And there's more topics with the ancient Egyptians, and we will come back to them at some point in time. But I'm sticking with the theme of pyramids here, and we're going to move to the pyramids of the Aztecs and the Mayan civilizations and keep trucking forward with that. So that's in 2 weeks. Let me double check my calendar here, just making sure that we are going to have a show in 2 weeks. Okay, so that's not the 1st of April. That is the 8th of April, where we will for sure be having a show. We will not, and I haven't told Matt this yet, so he doesn't know. But for the holiday, we will not be having a show the Monday after Easter. So that's April 22nd. We will not be having the show that Monday. I have plans, and I will not be around for the show. So, that's a week off. Sweet. But we will pick right back up again on May 6th. So, our next show's in 2 weeks, April 8th. The following next show is actually almost a month after that, and I apologize for that, people, but it just happens to be the way my schedule lands. May 6th will be the next episode after that. So we are talking Mayans, we're talking Aztecs, we're talking pyramids in general for that area. So I need a spell check for the banner. Oh, Shay, you always need a spell check for the banner. I'm just throwing that out there too. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to the show and hanging out with us. Let me know what you think. Let me know what we need to improve on. I know I'm horrible at staying on topic, but it also helps keep things interesting, I think. So try to keep you at the edge of your seats, keep you on your toes.
And that's less talking I have to do.
Oh, this is also very true. I know how much you love to talk, Matt. But in all seriousness, thank you all for coming. Everybody have a good night. Be safe. Enjoy yourselves. Remember to wish my wife a happy birthday on the 29th. It's her golden birthday. She turns 29 on the 29th. I don't care if you're not supposed to give out a woman's age. She's turning 29 on the 29th. It's a golden birthday. Big one for her. Wish her a happy birthday. I love you, babe. Thank you all for coming, and have a wonderful, wonderful night.
Good night, Al.
Shut up and sit down.
For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram.